Have you ever noticed that weird moment when a guy who seemed totally into you suddenly ghosts after your first night together? You're left staring at your phone, wondering if you've been hit with the classic pump and dump, or if there's something deeper going on beneath the surface. What if I told you that what feels like a modern dating nightmare actually has roots in something ancient? Something Carl Jung identified decades ago that's still playing out in your DMs right now. Let's cut to the chase. Men aren't just being men when they pull away after intimacy. There's a psychological tornado happening that most people are completely clueless about. That first night together isn't just physical. It's a collision of unconscious forces that have been shaping human relationships since before dating apps were even a thing. And trust me, understanding this hidden dynamic is about to be a total game changer for your love life. The shadow self that Jung discovered doesn't just hang out in therapy sessions. It's literally sabotaging your situationships right now. When a man gets close to you physically, then bounces faster than a bad check, he's not just being a player. He's actually responding to archetypal patterns that have been programmed into his psyche. And here's the tea. Once you understand what's really happening, you'll never look at that "you up" text the same way again. Think about it. Have you ever wondered why that guy who was absolutely crushing it with the romantic gestures suddenly can't even send a proper text after you've been intimate? There's this wild psychological flip that happens, and it's not your fault, but it is something you need to get woke about. The modern American dating scene is basically a psychological battlefield where ancient archetypes and modern hookup culture are duking it out in real time. FOMO might get you to swipe right, but it's Jung's understanding of the male psyche that's going to help you figure out why he's suddenly giving you the cold shoulder. Most dating advice is straight up garbage because it doesn't address what's actually happening beneath the surface. When a man pulls away after that first night, he's not just being a jerk. He's wrestling with something much deeper, something that's been hardwired into the collective unconscious that Jung spent his entire life mapping out. The ANIMA and ANIMUS archetypes that Jung identified aren't just some dusty psychological theory. They're literally playing out in your bedroom right now. When a man gets physically close to you, he's not just connecting with your body. He's encountering his own feminine side, his ANIMA. And for many men, that's scarier than a horror movie marathon at midnight. This encounter with the feminine within himself can trigger a fight-or-flight response that has him running for the hills before you've even had your morning coffee. Let's be real. We're living in a culture where men are taught to be as hard as nails from day one. They're expected to crush it in their careers, kill it in the gym, and slay it in the bedroom, but heaven forbid they actually process their emotions like a functional human being. When intimacy triggers vulnerability, many men go to pieces faster than a cheap phone screen. It's not that he doesn't like you. It's that he's terrified of the parts of himself that you've accidentally awakened. The collective unconscious isn't just some woo-woo concept. It's the operating system running in the background of every relationship you've ever had. When a man pulls away after getting close, he's often responding to archetypal fears that have nothing to do with you and everything to do with patterns established thousands of years ago. You're basically dealing with psychological software that hasn't been updated since ancient times, and it's glitching out in your modern relationship. What if I told you that the guy who's suddenly MIA after your amazing night together is actually terrified of his own shadow? Jung's shadow concept isn't just psychological jargon. It's the perfect explanation for why that seemingly confident dude is suddenly acting like you've got the plague. When physical intimacy strips away the persona he carefully constructed, he's suddenly face to face with the parts of himself he's been running from his entire life. No wonder he's ghosting you. He's actually ghosting himself. The mother archetype plays a bigger role in your hookups than you might think. When a man gets intimate with you, he's not just with you. He's subconsciously processing every significant female relationship he's ever had, starting with mom. Talk about baggage. This isn't just some Freudian cliche. It's a legitimate psychological process that can have him pulling away faster than you can say commitment issues. The first night together can trigger this whole archetypal storm that has nothing to do with your connection and everything to do with his unresolved maternal dynamics. You're probably thinking, this is lit and all, but what does it actually mean for my dating life? Here's the deal. Understanding Jung's archetypes gives you a superpower in the dating world. Instead of taking it personally when a guy pulls away, you can recognize the psychological patterns at play. This isn't about making excuses for bad behavior. It's about seeing through the matrix of unconscious forces that shape human connections. When you understand the game, you can finally stop playing it and create something real. The hero's journey isn't just for movies. It's happening in your dating life right now. That guy who pulled away after your first night together might actually be in the refusal of the call stage of his own psychological journey. The intimacy you shared represented a threshold crossing that freaked him out, sending him retreating back to his comfort zone. Jung would tell you this isn't just him being a jerk. It's him being stuck in his own archetypal story, unable to move forward into genuine connection. Let's spill some more tea. The persona that Jung identified is basically the Instagram filter of the psyche. Men invest so much energy in crafting their persona, that mask they show the world, that when real intimacy threatens to crack it, they panic and pull away. That first night together often strips away the carefully constructed image, leaving them feeling exposed and vulnerable. Rather than deal with that discomfort, many men will simply ghost, returning to the safety of their curated self-image. The American dating culture has us all chasing external validation like it's the last slice of pizza. We're swiping, matching, and hooking up, but we're missing the deeper connections that Jung knew were essential to psychological wholeness. When a man pulls away after physical intimacy, he might actually be protecting himself from the individuation process that true connection would require. It's easier to bounce than to do the internal work that genuine relationship demands. Have you noticed how many guys seem to go bananas after that first night, completely flipping the script on how they treat you? Jung would explain this as the confrontation with the shadow, all those repressed qualities and emotions that physical intimacy suddenly brings to the surface. When a man pulls away, he's often retreating from these disowned parts of himself that your connection has unexpectedly illuminated. It's not you he's rejecting, it's the mirror you've become. The individuation process that Jung described isn't just some psychological journey. It's the roadmap to authentic connection that most people are completely sleeping on. Physical intimacy fast-tracks this process, suddenly confronting a person with their unconscious material before they're ready to deal with it. No wonder so many men pulled the ripcord after that first night. They're being asked to face parts of themselves they've spent years running from. Think about the last guy who went from blowing up your phone to suddenly acting like you're a complete stranger after you hooked up. Jung would see this as the classic inflation-deflation pattern that happens when the ego encounters archetypal energy it can't integrate. The initial attraction represents inflation, when he's totally obsessed with you, while the pulling away represents deflation, when he can't handle the psychological intensity. It's not personal, it's archetypal. The American hookup culture has us all playing archetypal roles without even realizing it. He's trying to be the hero. You might be cast as the maiden or the mother, and the whole dynamic is playing out according to scripts written in the collective unconscious thousands of years ago. When a man pulls away after intimacy, he's often struggling with the archetypal role he feels trapped in, trying to escape the psychological drama he's not equipped to understand. YOLO might be the battle cry of modern dating, but Jung would tell you that the collective unconscious doesn't care about your casual hookup intentions. Those ancient patterns are going to play out whether you acknowledge them or not. When physical intimacy activates these archetypal energies, many men find themselves overwhelmed and pull away as a primitive psychological defense mechanism. They're not ghosting you. They're ghosting the archetypal storm you've unwittingly unleashed. The synchronicity concept that Jung developed isn't just about meaningful coincidences. It's about the invisible connections that bind our psychological experiences together. That random hookup that left you confused when he pulled away might actually be part of a larger pattern in your life, a synchronistic event pointing toward unresolved issues or growth opportunities. The guy ghosting you might be the universe's way of highlighting patterns you need to address. Let's get real for a second. The American dating scene in 2025 is basically a psychological experiment that nobody signed up for. Dating apps, hookup culture, and social media have created a perfect storm where Jung's archetypes are playing out in hyperspeed. When a man pulls away after that first night, he's responding to archetypal pressures intensified by modern technology. The ancient and the cutting edge are colliding in your love life, creating chaos that Jung would have had a field day analyzing. The truth is, when a man pulls away after physical intimacy, he's often experiencing what Jung would call an encounter with the self, that organizing center of the psyche that demands psychological growth. This confrontation can be terrifying. especially for someone not prepared for it. Rather than face this internal revolution, many men will simply retreat, pulling away from the person who catalyzed this uncomfortable awakening. It's not rejection, it's resistance to transformation. So here's the bottom line. Understanding why men pull away after that first night isn't about making excuses for bad behavior. It's about seeing through the matrix of unconscious forces that shape human connections in ways most people never recognize. When you understand the archetypal dynamics at play, you gain the power to choose differently, to create connections that honor both the conscious and unconscious dimensions of being human. And that, as Jung would tell you, is where the real magic happens. The journey through Jung's understanding of the psyche isn't just academic. It's a practical roadmap for navigating the confusing terrain of modern relationships. When you recognize the archetypal patterns playing out in your dating life, you're no longer at their mercy. You can see beyond the surface behavior of a man pulling away to the deeper psychological currents that are actually determining the flow of your connection. And here's the thing. Once you understand these hidden dynamics, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. The veil has been lifted, and suddenly, all those confusing patterns make perfect sense. That guy who seemed so into you before suddenly vanishing after your first night together? He's not just a jerk. He's a case study in Jung's archetypal psychology playing out in real time, right in your DMs. This isn't just about why men pull away. It's about the entire psychological landscape of human connection that most people navigate blindly. Jung's insights offer a flashlight in this darkness, illuminating the unconscious forces that shape our most intimate experiences. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Your dating life will never be the same, in the absolute best way possible. I've just scratched the surface of what Jung's psychology reveals about why men pull away after that first night together. There's a whole world of insight waiting for you beyond this introduction. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button right now and join me on this journey into the depths of the psyche. Drop a comment below sharing your own experience with men pulling away. I read every single one. And if you know someone struggling with this exact situation, be a real one and share this video with them. Let's get Jung's wisdom into the hands of everyone who needs it, one like and share at a time.